Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
Well, you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Pink-haired communist.
Just forget about the others.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday. We've got a show today. It'll be interesting. We've got some interesting stories, including, Donald Trump being sued again. We have Kari getting herself into possible trouble. Interesting. Also, consequences. We have a day of consequences. Interesting. For George Santos, we'll speculate a little bit on as to why George Santos has done what he has done. And no, I don't mean the lying. We also have fun. We're going to talk. We're going to do a Pillow Talk segment, of course. It's going to be interesting. Then we're going to do a serious topic here. We got a labor strike going on in France. That's amazing. And then we have Kroger accused of wage theft. So we're going to talk about that story as well. So we got some worker stuff. But let's start out with the fun. We got fun. Let's start with Trump. And if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Interesting. It appears Donald Trump is being sued yet again. This time for wrongful death. This is a wrongful death lawsuit from the longtime partner of slain Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. So now Sicknick was, of course, brutally assaulted by the MAGA mob on January 6th. He died a day later. The lawsuit accuses Trump and his allies of spreading the disinformation that led to the mob descending in the Capitol, which then, of course, led to Sicknick being injured. And then, of course, later on, he died of, from what the medical examiner said was natural causes, but nonetheless, they addressed that in this lawsuit. So now, Trump and his allies, again, are accused of spreading disinformation. Of course. What else do you think he does? Inflammatory rhetoric, once again, that helped spark the riot on January 6th. Now, this is Sandra Garza, who is lead plaintiff here, and she alleges that rhetoric and that disinformation had led to the death of Sicknick. Now, Capitol Police released a statement saying that the medical examiner's finding As I had mentioned before, Sicknick dying of natural causes did not change the fact that Officer Sicknick died in the line of duty, courageously defending Congress and the Capitol. So that fact alone, again, I'm not a lawyer. I would guess that since was ruled natural causes and not homicide, I don't know. I don't know how much of a case she has. Now, Garza is also suing Julian Katter and George Tenyos, who were sentenced on Friday in federal court for their roles in assaulting Sicknick. Although it is beyond question defendant Trump lost the 2020 presidential election, he still remains unwilling to accept defeat. He lied to his followers by, among other things, telling him that the certification of Joe Biden's election was a coup and that their country was being stolen from them, the lawsuit states. She also added that the lawsuit adds, he filed dozens of frivolous lawsuits, all of which substantively failed, and he tried to intimidate state officials, none of whom came to pressure. Out of options and out of time, defendant Trump finally called his supporters to Washington, D.C. on the day that Congress met to certify President-elect Biden's win, telling them to, quote-unquote, stop the steal, and that the day will be wild. Tens of thousands of his supporters came to the district in response, including defendants Katter and Tanyos. Some, including defenders Katter and Tanyos, planned violence at the U.S. Capitol in advance. Some were stirred to violence by defendant Trump's words on that day. So look, when it comes to the facts, well, yeah, of course Donald Trump helped to incite January 6th. I think we can all agree on that. And so there is responsibility that he takes for what had happened that day. Is he ever going to face any sort of responsibility? I don't think so. I don't think he'll face responsibility. I'm skeptical that the system is set up to punish people who are wealthy and powerful, especially if they're influential Republicans. And so, again, I don't know how successful this is going to be. Now, this isn't a criminal suit, obviously. It's a civil suit. Nonetheless, I still wonder if this will be successful in getting anything out of him. Even maybe a settlement. But again, I don't really know. But I think it is interesting that you have somebody that is tying, of course, Donald Trump to the death of Sicknick, which, again, tragic as it is, tragic is, all the deaths and beatings that happened on January 6th, of course. But tying him directly to it, interesting. I think more likely she would be successful against those others, Katter and Tanyos, who were directly involved. But again, we'll have to see where it goes. And this is just adding to all the other legal issues that Trump is dealing with. So, hey, what's another lawsuit on top of everything else? All right. So, again, that's just real quick there. Let's move on. Let's go to Kari Lake getting herself in trouble. All right. Election-denying former Republican gubernatorial candidate and complete loser, Kari Lake, might also be adding criminal to the list of things that he can be called. On Monday, Kari Lake was referred to the Arizona Attorney General for investigation. Interesting. So let's get into the details. According to the referral, which came from Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, Lake violated Arizona state law by, get this, tweeting out copies of voter signatures in her tweets. To which I say, stupid. Well done. I want to show you the tweet that got her in trouble, by the way. Just because it's fascinating. And I'd already talked about this before. Bombshell discovery. Today's Senate testimony confirms nearly 40,000 ballots illegally counted. 10% of signatures reviewed. I think all the election deniers out there deserve an apology. Oops. No, it appears the people whose signatures you had shared publicly deserve an apology. Because, once again, dumbass.
Stupid.
You idiot.
Well done, Kari. Well done. Now, the office cited in its referral, quote, nothing in this section shall preclude public inspection of voter registration records at the office of the county recorder for the purpose prescribed by this section, except that the records containing a voter signature shall not be accessible or reproduced by any person other than the voter. Kari Lake, of course, was like, oh, these signatures by the way, they were from 2020. I already dissected this tweet and how she was really stupid for posting it in the first place because it didn't prove anything. But, once again,
Just forget about the evidence.
let's forget about it completely. Evidence? Don't need evidence. Here, it's signatures. Okay. But look, this is a class 6 felony in Arizona. Meaning a conviction could only result in fines, probation, or a prison sentence between 4 months and 5 and 0.75 years. So I know. But look, very, very unlikely that Kari Lake is ever actually going to face any jail time. As the prosecutor can charge it as a class 1 misdemeanor, which carries anywhere from no penalty to 6 months in jail. And when ordering less than 6 months in jail, the judge can order up to 3 years of probation. Fines, fees, and surcharges are commonly ordered. And honestly, I think that's the worst that could happen. Once again, Kari Lake is an absolute clown. Yes, she broke the law by sharing these signatures. Yes, she's been engaging in massive election denial. Look, in fact, the election denial stuff that she is, she's using signature verification, which already is ridiculous as people's signatures change literally all the time. Nobody writes the same way 100%. And in her quest to become, I guess to overthrow the governorship of Arizona, to basically take over the state, oops, crime. Don't you hate when that happens? Crime. But like I said, it's hilarious that Kari Lake continues to step on rakes. It's like she's Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. She keeps stepping on him over and over again, getting herself in trouble. But, I guess, look, that's what happens when you're so dumb that you can't accept a loss. That you still think your governor, the rightful governor, by the way, that's what she says, even though she lost decisively. Oops. Dumb. Or, let me add.
Stupid.
Those like you push for a signature match want the smallest difference to lead to contested votes. Signature checking is useful when there's a better reason to check votes.
Yeah, again, the signature match stuff is just, it is a way to stop people from, or I should say it's a way for election deniers to push conspiracy theories. That's all they have. They've refused to reach out to new voters because their policies are unpopular. The vast majority of the country is not interested in the stuff that they're selling, which is tax cuts for the rich, bigotry, deregulation of all corporations, more, pollution. Yeah. That's what they're into. Most people, not at all interested. And so they have to come up with ways to try to prevent people from voting that are not going to vote for them, obviously. And to now, at this point, just declare all elections to be fake, fraudulent, and to try to steal them themselves. And by the way, they project that upon their opponents. Oh, it's the Democrats that are stealing it. In reality, of course, they're trying to steal it. All right, anyway. Let's go to George Santos. Okay. Representative George Santos is deciding to step down from his House committee assignments. No, he is not leaving office, but he's decided not to do any work. Honestly, that's not shocking because, well, first of all, he's not qualified at all, apparently, to do any of the work that he's been assigned, or he would be assigned in these House committees. And he's also in some pretty big trouble, potentially. Now, in a Tuesday meeting, Santos told his Republican colleagues, this is according to CBS News, that he had planned to recuse himself from serving any House committees. He had been assigned to, get this, the House Small Business Committee and the Science and Technology Committee earlier this month, which, by the way, he lied about creating a business. It looked like more like a shell corporation for him to funnel money from who knows where, right? And then you also have, the Science and Technology Committee. This guy faked the colleges that he went to. What is he doing on the Science and Technology Committee? He's a fraud, an absolute fraud. Now, this came a day after Santos met with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And look, I don't know what the conversation was about. I don't know, if George Santos is the one that said, hey, man, look, I can't do this. Or if Kevin McCarthy actually forced him to step down. I don't know what happened. I can take a guess. But until we know the details, I don't know. I think that McCarthy probably got sick of defending Santos. Maybe he said, look, hey, you can keep your job in Congress and your pay, obviously. But you got to get off these committees, man. You're making us look bad. Hey, look, if that's the case, if I were George Santos, I'd take the deal. I'd be, yeah, of course. I don't have to work and I get paid. Sign me up. Yeah, I just have to show up every once in a while for a vote. Oh, okay, I can do that. Sweet deal. Again, I'm just guessing. For all I know, McCarthy booted him off those committees and allowed him to save face. I don't know. Oh, the other possibility is George Santos just could be lying about all this. It's not like he hasn't lied before. It's not like he hasn't lied about pretty much everything, right? But again, I'm left with speculation until I know any more of the details. That said, is it good? Yeah, sure. Is it good enough? No. This guy shouldn't be in government at all. He's not only a serial liar, which again, we can kind of expect that from all of our politicians. Yes, there are different degrees of lies. The lies that, this guy has been caught in are outrageous. They're a step beyond the normal, political lies that we hear. I mean, a lot of them are comical. Oh, I was the star of the volleyball team when I was at a college that I actually never went to. And then I blew out both my knees in the championship. Oh, it was so great, though. We won the championship. And then I went on to, be the first man on the moon. Or maybe the second man in the moon. I don't know. I was in the space program or something. That's why I get to be on the space and, science technology or the Science and Technology Committee. I mean, the lies are just, again, one outrageous lie after another. But it's not that. Really, that's the biggest issue, right? Yes, they are outrageous, but it's hilarious. No, he's also an alleged criminal. Remember, Brazilian prosecutors are now trying to renew criminal charges against Santos for an alleged theft using a stolen checkbook. So, like, he stole money, allegedly, in Brazil. I wonder if that's back when he was doing his drag as Kitara Ravash. And so, look, by the way, him doing drag, not offensive at all. It's actually probably the best thing he's ever done. Everything else is terrible. But all right. He also, is facing questions about his finances, his financial disclosures from his campaign. In fact, I've already shared with you the report where it's suggested that over a dozen of his major donors from his 2020 campaign weren't real. They don't exist. There's like the Rhaegar couple allegedly donating $5,600. They didn't exist. They weren't real. There was another person donating $2,800 that wasn't real. Someone else, and from an address that doesn't actually exist. A lot of questions here. Like, where'd you get the money? And then there was more. In fact, the Daily Beast story earlier in the week also revealed that, $500,000 loan he gave to his campaign didn't come from his personal funds, despite him claiming that it came from his personal funds. So where did the money come from? If it went from his business, well, then that would be a campaign contribution. That would be a campaign finance law violation. So he's got questions. There are people that have questions about this guy, and he's got some major problems, okay? How many names does he have? He has a lot of names. And so, look, George Santos, under a lot of pressure. Now you have the Department of Justice that is looking into this, telling the FEC, stand aside. We're going to start looking into, making a criminal case against George Santos or whatever name he decides to go by next. And so, with the result of all of that, I mean, yeah, sure, it's a headache if you're George Santos. What about Kevin McCarthy? Now, he's got to be real sick of all this. The last thing Kevin McCarthy wants right now is to have someone like George Santos, whom even Republicans, and by the way, his own constituents, the people that voted for him, oh, they're pissed. They're so pissed. They don't want him becoming the face of the Republican Party. And I get why. All right, moving on. Let's go and do Pillow Talk. All right, let's see.
God gave me this platform. I already know I'm going to win.
China did our vote. Biden and Harris would say, hey, we're here to protect the country, and resign.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Just forget about the evidence. This was attacked.
Following Mike Pillow's blowout loss to Ronna McDaniel for the chairmanship of the Republican National Committee, it appears that McDaniel and members of the RNC, well, they decided to give him a participation trophy, for his efforts in running a pretty terrible campaign. So, look, recently, Mike Pillow was on Steve Bannon's podcast, and he made an announcement that he will be running an election crimes unit, his words, for the RNC. Take a look.
We need to hold the RNC accountable. They did say, I will work with Mike Lindell. I can't wait to work with Mike Lindell. Well, when you work with me, it's election crime, not a weak word like election integrity. It's called the election crime. We're going to talk later in the week. We're setting up the election crime unit, Steve. So everybody stay tuned. It's going to be big.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Maybe at some point in time in the future, we may finally get to see the evidence. Oh, wait.
Just forget about the evidence.
Oh, that's right. To forget about it. But it gets better. So, look, as I mentioned, this was a massive blowout. All right. And as a result, people made fun of him. And he decided that he was going to get a little salty and talk about that.
Rasmussen polls came out on Thursday, everybody, last Thursday, and it had me almost doubling both Rana and Harmeet. And so what does that say? It says the people want not only change, but what do I represent in that change? I represent that you're going to get the best return on your investment for big donors. You're going to get these elections fixed. You're going to get these the internal things. It takes a businessman to do that, and we've got to hold them accountable. And but the people put it right out there. They couldn't deny that. And Steve, the media, they didn't know what to do with that. They go, oh, Mike only got 4 votes. Well, the people that voted in the end are they decided to go against the people's wishes. What our country wanted, they decided to vote the other way. So they're the ones that are going, the media's going, gee, what do we do with this now? We can't even attack Mike for only getting 4 votes. We should be going after them because they didn't listen to the people.
What? I have no idea. I have no idea what he was trying to say. They were going after me for only getting 4 votes. Yeah, because it's funny. Because you got blown out, son. You did pretty terribly. All right. It's great. But all right. Look, it's funny because he tries to bring up a poll, and this poll actually exists, by the way. I'm going to give you the details of that to say this is why I should have won the RNC chairmanship. All right. Well, here's the poll. You mentioned Rasmussen for one, so it's a conservative polling agency. It polled about 900 people, and it was online and telephone. And yes, it did find that 15% of likely Republican voters, only 15% supported Ronna McDaniel. 30% supported Mike Lindell. Oh, very, very interesting. 20% supported attorney Harmeet Dillon. All right. 15% did not support any of them. 21% were undecided. So now that's regular Republican voters. Well, okay, but the thing is, this isn't a national election where Republican voters get to vote. This is a vote by the RNC membership. The membership that think that Mike Lindell is a clown. Look, one RNC member's like, yeah, he's a clown. He didn't even run a campaign. Others were saying that as well. He sent a few boilerplate emails really late. That was his campaign. So, no, that poll, essentially bringing up that poll was meaningless. It had nothing to do with the RNC membership vote. Why bring it up? Doesn't matter. Now, funny enough, going to the actual vote where they, again, voted to keep Ronna McDaniel, RNC members approved a resolution, and there's a point to this, because it is connected. The RNC members approved a resolution opposing all forms of anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic statements, and any anti-Semitic elements that seek to infiltrate the Republican Party. Again, you might be wondering what this is about. Trust me, I'll get to that. The resolution also explicitly condemned white supremacist Nick Fuentes and rapper Kanye West. by name. Now you might think, okay, good. Oh, the Republican Party finally taking a stand against anti-Semitism. Very, very publicly, very openly. All right. Well, the problem with that, and I don't have a problem with that, but I think some of the voters for Republicans will have a problem with that, because I think that's out of step with a decent-sized chunk of the Republican base. And the reason I say that is because a lot of them buy into these weirdo conspiracy theories that always end up where? The Jews did it. And if you think Mike Lindell has no relation to that, well, in 2021, he went to bat defending a notorious anti-Semite. That's True News and its host, Rick Wiles. According to Media Matters, True News is an anti-Semitic outlet that warns people about purported seditious Jews. Yes, they're just out there. They're just openly saying it. All right. Calling people, Jewish people, quote, deceivers who plot, lie, and do whatever they have to do to accomplish their political agenda. Now, during the August 18th, 2021 edition of Steve Bannon's War Room, pandemic edition, Lindell said this about True News, quote, I want to tell everyone right now, this is one of the most amazing places you can go. Go to truenews.com and you guys and get, help them out. True News, again, has claimed that there is a Jew coup against former President Donald Trump, and that once again, seditious Jews were orchestrating an impeachment lynching. Wiles also claimed that the American people are being oppressed by quote-unquote Jewish tyrants. So now this is a guy, once again, who's a virulent anti-Semite. Okay? Mike Lindell goes to bat for that guy. He says, True News. True News. Everything they say is fantastic and wonderful. You should absolutely support them. Mike Lindell now apparently getting a job doing, investigating election crimes, working with the RNC, and the RNC that just passed a resolution condemning all forms of anti-Semitism. Oops. Huh. Tie all that together. But look, that said, do I think that this is a real position? Heading up an election crimes unit? No, I don't think it is at all. I think it's a consolation prize. I think it's a participation trophy for Mike Billow to, basically get him away from doing anything actually important, because everybody knows he's a nut job. McDaniel and many of the other RNC members, save for the 4 that actually voted for him, were like, we got to do something about this guy. I know. Here. Hey, Mike. Oh, you want to do election investigations, election crimes? Oh, here you go. Just do this and then go away. That's what I think. Now, again, the reason that I point to this being a possible consolation prize and why the RNC would even entertain this is because, once again, there's a lot of Republicans that have bought into this. 30% of voters, according to Rasmussen, were like, oh yeah, Mike Lindell, be RNC chair, should run the Republican National Committee. So obviously there's a lot of support for this crackpot. All right, well, I'm sure they're saying, look, we know this guy's not going to find anything, but as long as he's not got us in our crosshairs and is, trying to get people to, trying to basically rail against us like he's been railing against Fox News, he's been railing against other organizations. That's good. Keep the hogs satisfied, if you will, and keep Lindell from turning on us, because he does have a lot of money. That's my analysis of it. I could be wrong, and maybe McDaniel and some of the others have bought into it, or maybe doesn't even have a position at all, and he's just making things up. Who knows? But as far as I know, the farther Mike Pillow stays away from actual power, the better.
Can't let that happen.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, we're just kind of burning through the stories today. Move on to some labor news. The largest supermarket chain in the country is being accused of wage theft. So now, this is according to an article in Popular Information. On January 19th, there was a group of Kroger associates from Virginia and West Virginia that have filed a lawsuit against Kroger. And this is over what they are calling and alleging widespread wage theft, resulting from repeated and ongoing problems with their payroll system. So, look, this is something, by the way, that does happen pretty often when we're talking about wage theft, especially in industries like grocery stores, restaurants, etc. Now, look, let me give you the details, okay? So in 2022, Kroger had launched a payroll system called MyTime. Kroger touted MyTime as a testament to how much they care about their workers, about their associates. However, since its rollout, MyTime has apparently been a nightmare for thousands of employees across the country. And let me just note here that there's a bit of irony. Okay? Yeah, maybe this really does show how little the company actually cares about its workers, about its associates. I mean, based on what we're getting from these allegations from this lawsuit. So now, the lawsuit claims that workers have been routinely dealing with missing or late paychecks with amounts far less than what they're owed, unauthorized and incorrect deductions, and withholdings. One example, one plaintiff in the case did not receive pay for the 5 weeks that she worked there. So she worked there for 5 weeks and didn't get paid. She had to resign because she couldn't pay her bills. Another one had their copay for spousal insurance deducted twice for 7 weeks straight. Jesus. So what is Kroger doing about it? Apparently nothing. Kroger was made aware of the issues in both cases, but had so far failed to correct them. Wow. Another worker told Popular Information that they were evicted for not receiving a paycheck for several weeks. Yet another employee shared that they were loaning out some of their money to help new hires who are missing their own paychecks and don't have enough money to get to work because they can't afford gas. Others were forced to take second jobs or take high-interest payday loans in order to meet their daily expenses. So this is a place that's made billions of dollars, and I'll get to the numbers. But did you notice in all of these payroll system glitches, they have never led to any instances of overpayment to workers. It's always underpayment. That's very, very interesting. Guaranteed that as soon as this system, if it ever does, started overpaying workers, it would be fixed like that. Immediately. They would stop everything to fix that day. And by the way, they would immediately claw back any overpayments made to their workers. You know that for a fact. CEO, would look at that and be like,
can't let that happen.
Claw back. We got to fix that. Got to fix it. So look, this is terrible for the workers. Now, multiple Kroger associates told Popular Information, once again, that they've missed rent payments, bills, overdrawn their bank accounts, forced to take out loans, as I mentioned. But one Kroger employee told the outlet, quote, "I'm tired of having to beg for pay that's due to me." Absolutely. So now look, Kroger employees also are unionized. And that's what's interesting here, right? In fact, they're represented by the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, Local 400. So what has the union been doing? Well, they've also been bringing this up to Kroger. The union claims that it's received more than 1,000 reports from members who say that they are still having issues with my time. They've been telling Kroger to fix it for months. Again, they haven't fixed it. Not at all. Their response is, look, we've actually worked on it, and we've mostly fixed it. We've fixed almost all the issues. And by the way, I don't know why you're suing us. I'll get to that statement. But right now they're facing at least 4 separate class action lawsuits related to the issues in this system. In fact, here's the spokesperson back in mid-December, quote, "We have apologized to our associates and understand the impact. We have resolved the vast majority of issues and are ensuring our associates are paid timely and accurately." No, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening at all. In fact, I'll get to that more of those details, but more of the statement here first. Kroger claims that they have acted in good faith and have turned the blame towards employees for failing to, quote, "pursue grievances, arbitration, and other remedies before suing." How dare you sue us? Just because we messed up and didn't fix it for months and months on end, causing you to get evicted or, to have to take out payday loans with high interest rates or, all that stuff. I mean, why would you sue us? Well, I mean, we did nothing to fix the issue. Shouldn't that be good enough? No, no, not at all. No, you actually have to fix the issue and start paying people and give them back pay, by the way, because that's hours and pay that they earned. But anyway, at the end of the last year, UFCW President Mark Perrone said the union was still hearing from local unions. And this is to counteract the fact that they've been saying, we fixed the issue already. What's the problem? Thousands of people across the country have not received their most recent paycheck, despite repeated assurances from Kroger that the vast majority of issues have been resolved. They haven't. In Cincinnati, where Kroger is based, one union says it has been receiving about 40 complaints a week since the end of last year. Kroger said it was not aware of any issues in Cincinnati. What issues? No, we don't have any issues. Oh, forget those guys, those union guys. No. We're not. Everything's fine here. What are you talking about? Everything's great. Earlier this month, though, Kroger did actually admit in court, this is a court filing on January 9th, that they were having issues with their payroll. Tricia Halpin, a division assistant HR leader for Fred Meyers, wrote, quote, "To this day, Fred Meyer continues to receive new reports and complaints from Washington employees regarding their pay on an almost daily basis." Now, this is about Kroger workers in Washington. But still, there's a suggestion, by the way, from Halpin, who suggests that a large majority of and potentially all employees who received a paycheck under the new payroll system have been affected to some degree. And while all this is going on, by the way, how's Kroger doing? Very, very well. The company actually recorded $113 billion in sales in the first 3 quarters of 2022, an 8% increase from the same period last year. Yeah, I wonder why. And in 2021, CEO Rodney McMullen received an $18.2 million in compensation. That is 679 times more than the median Kroger employee. They're also getting ready to merge with an Albertsons. That would give the company control of nearly 1/5 of the U.S. grocery market. And then, you know, by the way, everybody who's working for Albertsons would also be subject to wage theft. Great. So look, as I mentioned at the top of the story, wage theft is pretty common. It's not just Kroger. The Economic Policy Institute estimates that more than $50 billion in wages are stolen from workers every year. That is, I mean, that's far more than property crimes. According to the FBI, the amount of money stolen from workers through wage theft, by their employers, exceeds the value of stolen goods in all property crimes combined. And yet, most victims never bother to report wage theft, let alone are they able to go and take their employer to court. I think for obvious reasons. But let me just break it down. People have no power in the workplace. They're afraid of being punished. Look, a lot of the workers who had spoken to Popular Information did so anonymously because they were afraid that they were going to get fired. That's what corporate rule looks like. They have so much power over our lives. And even when they steal, they're literally stealing from us, we have no power to fight back. And by the way, even if you're able to file a claim, you have to wait for months, sometimes years, for the case to be decided. And even if you do win, oftentimes, turns out you don't even get your money back. This is an amazing stat here. A CBS News investigation found that more than a third of successful cases totaling $1 billion in stolen wages showed no money recovered by the employee. A third. They stole it from you. You sued them. You won. And in a third of those cases, they still kept the money. They still kept the money. What? That's your money, not their money. They stole it from you. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Corporate rule means they get to keep it anyway. Now, why isn't this a bigger story? I don't see a lot of people talking about this. And by the way, it's not just all credit to CBS News for doing that investigation, right? And Popular Information. But generally, you don't hear about this much from anywhere else, especially corporate media and Congress, where they can actually do something. Now, of course, there's a reason. In Congress, they're owned by the corporations. Corporations are their donors, their owner donors. They'll never help victims of wage theft. There are no bills being proposed to help them. There are no bills being proposed to prevent wage theft from happening. Why is that? It's because they run the government. Corporations run the government and own our politicians. They buy them off with campaign contributions. Apparently, at some point, some percentage of stolen from your wages, from your paycheck, to then turn around and work against you. To prevent you from getting higher wages. And to prevent them, to prevent you from stopping them from stealing your wages. Stuff that the money that you've actually worked for. That's what's going on here. Should be a bigger story. It's not. And they continue to steal more and more from all of us. Okay. Last story here. We do have some story of people fighting back. Hundreds of thousands of French workers walked off the job in what are some massive, massive protests against French President Emmanuel Macron. So look, Macron is looking to cut retirement. He actually plans to raise the nation's official retirement age from 62 to 64. So look, here in America, we don't get to retire till we're 67. That's a retirement age. But look, I'm in solidarity because they're trying to raise the retirement age there, and they're still trying to do it here. Republicans are. So now, let me give you more details here. According to reports, nationwide strikes and marches on January 19th brought out between 1 and 2 million people. So those are, again, massive, massive marches and protests. And when French people protest, it's not like what happens here. Protests in this country are mild, super weak. I mean, like, it's funny because when we were talking about, for example, racial justice protests that had happened, right-wingers, Fox News, for example, they're always coming out and saying, oh my God, they burnt down the cities, they burnt down Atlanta, they burnt down Milwaukee. Oh, they burnt down everything. It's gone. It's gone, ashes. When, again, mild protest, right? But French people literally do burn things down pretty often as well. And I'm not saying, like, do that, but I'm just saying that they're not messing around. And that's why, by the way, the French government is kind of afraid of these protests. But at the same time, Emmanuel Macron says, no. We're going to raise your retirement age, age anyway. Doesn't matter how mad you get. So, what's it going to take? Well, it might take what they're doing, because what they're doing is pretty serious. In fact, they've already disrupted on Tuesday electricity, transportation, and education. Now, education, sure, the French government can be like, well, education, right? The 70% of the teachers didn't show up. Which, yeah, that's a real stat, by the way. But when their power is turned off, that's when the politicians take notice, because that's what's happening. They're turning off electricity to the politicians' homes. Oh, are you gonna raise my retirement age? You're gonna make it so that you're basically taking money out of my pocket? Because that's my money that goes to retirement, my pension. No. I'm gonna take your power. Hey, well, there you go. Now, it's not just power. Let me give you the details on that, actually. Total Energies says between 75 to 100% of workers at its refineries and fuel depots are on strike. 75 to 100%. Electricity supplier EDF says that they're monitoring a drop in power to the national power grid equivalent to 3 nuclear power plants. Damn. The Associated Press also reported that rail operator SNCF reported major disruptions, with strikes knocking out most trains in the Paris region and all other regions, and on France's flagship high-speed network linking cities and major towns. The Paris Metro was also hit by station closures and cancellations. France's education ministry, as I mentioned before, reported that about a quarter of the nation's teachers were on strike, down from 70% during the first round of protests. Again, this is the second protest, and approximately, so again, millions of people. Strikes are still expected to continue as Macron continues to try to, again, raise the retirement age. So how do people feel about that? Well, I mean, again, it's pretty obvious. 3/4 of the population is against raising the retirement age. It's kind of like here in this country as well. And the reaction from politicians is to continue to try to do it, which again is the same thing you're seeing here from Republicans. Again, Republicans are trying to cut Social Security. Now they'll come out and say, oh no, we're trying to protect Social Security. We're trying to protect Social Security. What are you talking about? No. It's actually the Democrats that are going to try to cut it. There's some truth to that. Some. But it's not like Republicans haven't led the charge. And let me give you, by the way, the example of Democrats. Biden, back in 2014, had negotiated with Republicans, John Boehner, to cut Social Security and Eric Cantor. Now they're going to raise the retirement age. And this was the so-called grand bargain that they're going to make with the Republicans to, cut the debt. We got to cut deficits. We got to take care of the deficits. We care so much about the deficits right now. So we're going to go after something that doesn't add to the deficits. But that's what Republican wants. They want so-called entitlement cuts. They want to cut Social Security. They want to cut Medicare. They want to get rid of it. Now, the Republicans did not end up doing the grand bargain. They disagreed with it, even though Obama and Biden put this on the table. They said, yes, Social Security, we will allow you to raise the retirement age. We will do it, tie it to a changed CPI, which will change the way that Social Security payments are formulated, and therefore will actually pay out less in benefits. It is a cut. And Republicans were like, yes, we really want that. Oh, but we have to give up tax increases on the rich? Yeah, no. But again, John Boehner was all in for it. There were Republicans, a lot of Republicans were on board for it. And so were the Democrats. Yes, they want to cut Social Security and Medicare. Hopefully Biden has learned his lesson that you shouldn't do that. But again, he has put it on, he's helped Obama put it on the table before. Look, 67, yeah, we have life expectancy in this country that is, falling. It's not that high anymore. And the reason, of course, is because we, don't have, good health care, universal health care in this country. There's a lot of issues that we have. And Republicans want to raise it to 70. And they want to use the debt ceiling fight as a way to try to justify it. Well, we have to, we have to let Republicans, raise the retirement age, or else, we won't pass the debt ceiling. Well, wait a minute. The debt ceiling, they're always going to pass the debt. They're always going to raise the debt ceiling. If they don't, the stock market tanks. Well, where do politicians have a lot of their money? In the stock market. So it's just a game. It's a game. The whole debt ceiling thing here in this country is an absolute game that they use, again, to try to justify cuts to your retirement and to your health care. Don't let them do it. Don't fall for it. As far as France goes, again, solidarity. I hope they're very successful in, making sure that their politicians, the neoliberal politicians like Emmanuel Macron, are not successful in stealing people's retirement. Okay. That's all I got. Let's see. Too bad I didn't get to use this one.
Pink-haired communist.
I got a couple of new sound clips, so maybe I'll use them tomorrow. All right, so with that, that's the end of the show. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Gabby Mathis says, with a very kind $5 super chat, rest in peace, Dad, who was French and taught me how to demonstrate. He took me as a kid to demonstrate against the Vietnam War. Based. Absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of our, or at least some of our problems here in this country would be solved if we knew how to actually protest. And by the way, if we also unionized more, I don't know what that was. Stuff was falling. Happens. Okay. Anyway.
Can't let that happen.
And it broke my speakers. Okay, so anyway. Thank you all for the super chats. Madi Darno, thank you for the very kind $1. Do they think raising retirement age will increase life expectancy? Says Hunger Games 1989. They don't care about your life expectancy. In fact, they would prefer that you die on the job. Cheaper that way for them. I mean, it is what it is. Okay. Anyway. Have a great, great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow for a great Wednesday show. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody. See you back here tomorrow.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Obama. Can't let that happen.